And I was in Washington, August 28, 1963. I had just left jail in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I, along with 1,000 others, had been arrested for trying to use public accommodations, downtown restaurants and movies and the like. He challenged us on that day. And while most people remember the alliterative poetic climax, I Have a Dream, that was not the substance of the speech. The speech was about the broken promise. After 246 years of legal slavery, it was illegal for blacks to own land, or to have capital, or to vote, or to marry. You promised. In 1863, Lincoln, with the Emancipation Proclamation, he said, I stand in your majestic shadows. Looking at the Congress, the 13th Amendment, you promised. And here we are today, 100 years later, the promissory note, balance check marked insufficient funds. You promised full citizenship in 1865. You promised the right to vote then, and then in 1877 you compromised, you withdrew the troops and left us vulnerable to states' rights bigots who through acts of violence and terrorism took away our rights. Here we are today, 100 years later, seeking to fulfill these rights. I remember that so very well, and that becomes the message then and even now. We're free today, but not equal.